Welcome to Follow the Action. This show has been downloaded in over 60 countries, over 2,000 cities, and all 50 United States. We're syndicated nationally on radio. You can catch us on our YouTube channel, Follow the Action, also on podcast, Apple, Spotify, wherever you can download podcasts, also under the banner of Follow the Action. The reason we've been so popular, we don't have guys who play experts on television. We got the pillars and the foundation of the sports betting industry. When they talk about sharp money, that's our guys. So let's get right to introducing them. Back this week, we are so happy he's an icon in Philadelphia like Rocky Balboa. He is Mr. Harry Mays of the podcast Swing It and Dig It, best podcast in the world. Also, fighting out of the city of brotherly love. He's known as the best sports gambler alive. He is the Philly Godfather, Mr. Steve Maltepes. He is known for his glass of wine and his acute ability to pick all sports. He's a legend, and we love him. He is the Philly Rooster. And new to the show, I think, Carmine Falcone. You're going to like Mr. Falcone.
Hey, John. Good to see you today. I wore my best attire so Halle Berry could see this. I thought the Joker might have been a little bit hard. This is looking a little bit finer for it.
We get Halle Berry on here, we can get rid of everybody else.
Just show her Harry's microphone. She'll stay around for you.
That thing had a blue pill, obviously.
Harry brought out the big microphone for this show. He's known as the future of sports betting, Mr. Matt Maltepes of the College Kids. And new to the show, exciting. So much religious vernacular in sports. From the Hail Mary to shooting up a prayer, he is the minister of money. Welcome to the show. And of course, our man down somewhere in South America in a cave underneath, we think, the Inca Temple mines. He is Mr. Dave Mason from Bet Online to give us the sharp money, the public money, and all the odds. So let's get started right away, gentlemen. Rooster, you were gone last week. I don't know if you saw it, but my old college, Abilene Christian, happened to do fairly well.
They really did. I was extremely impressed, and when I found out you went there, I was extremely shocked. You don't seem like a devout Christian to me, John. I'm sorry.
Hey, we got the minister of money on here. You got to be nice. So, minister of money, let's get right to you. We got basketball coming up, but first, wait a minute. Before we do, we got a huge UFC fight this week. We got two heavyweights, one being called perhaps the greatest of all time, and one absolute monster in Ngannou. Carmine Falcone, what do you got in this heavyweight matchup today? Before you do, Dave Mason, what do you got for the odds and where the money is?
Yeah, right now we got Miocic at plus 110 and Ngannou at minus 130. We did get some sharp action on Miocic at about plus 120 or better. So it's been the odds have been coming down. The overall action is pretty much 50-50. It's a win-win for the house right now. So we have no big need. Over under 1.5 rounds, over minus 145. 91% of the cash is on the over.
Carmine, I am so looking forward to this fight. I cannot wait for this thing to get here. Ngannou has looked terrifying at times. Not great stand-up, doesn't throw straight punches. What does Stipe Ngannou look like to you?
Well, Stipe Miocic is the most underrated heavyweight champion in the history of the UFC. I think he's been an underdog in his last 3 or 4 fights, and we have been on Stipe's side all of the last 3 or 4 fights. Stipe now is 38 years old. For the first Ngannou fight, which was back in 2018, January 20th, 2018, he weighed 246 pounds. For the last 2 Daniel Cormier fights, he's weighed in somewhere, or the very last one, I think he weighed in around 237 and a half, 238. So he's kind of come down in weight a little bit over the course of time. Looking at some of the film from him this week, some of the interviews and different things, he's looking like he's coming in light again, somewhere around that 236, 237. And that's kind of interesting because I think he thinks that if he weighs a little bit lighter, he's going to have a little bit more movement and he'll be a little bit more athletic, than Francis Ngannou. I think the one thing that sticks out to me sometimes is if you come in a little bit lighter, even though you're faster, when you see athletes start losing body weight and body mass, they lose bone density a little bit. You've seen it so many times where these guys come down a weight class and the public jumps all over that guy who coming down in weight because they think for fight night that he's going to weigh significantly more and he's going to be the bigger guy in the fight. But what they don't realize is their KO TKO ratio of the younger, lighter fighter is through the roof. Francis Ngannou for this fight is 34 years old. He's left his original trainer. He's went to Extreme Couture. He has a new coach in Eric Niksicki, and he's really been working his cardio, his takedown defense, his ground game. They have great grapplers there. I got to tell you, in this fight, I usually like the guy who's the better grappler, who's the better wrestler. I think Francis Ngannou gets him in this fight. I really do. I like the odds of, how they're kind of tailored to the under a 1.5. If you look at some of the others, like the fight starts round 3, it's through the roof. No, round 4 is even higher. And, this fight went the distance before. Stipe Miocic won a unanimous decision and went all 5 rounds. But all of a sudden, the odds have significantly switched to a different version. I think it's a different fight. I think it's going to be, Ngannou's going to be a little bit more patient in round 1. I think he's not going to try to knock him out right off the belt. I think he's going to set the pace a little bit. I think he's going to wear on him. And I think in round 2, this is Francis's fight. I like Francis Ngannou to win, and we'll have a couple prop bets come fight night. But round 2, KO, TKO, DQ, plus 550 is definitely on the docket.
Would you take the over-under on this at 1.5 rounds?
No, I wouldn't just yet, because it's going to be really close that Francis gets going late in round 1, early in round 2. And I think that trying to have a split bet between like a KO, TKO, DQ in round 1, which is plus 220, and round 2, which is plus 550, they're both plus prices that are big prices. And you can split bet those and still win money, and you're guaranteed even the later of that second round. We're leaning towards that way right now in the fight.
It's going to be a matchup of heavyweights. People love that, and it's going to be some absolute bomb.
Absolutely, and again, Stipe is underrated. I love to watch him fight. I think he's a great fighter. He's a tactician. In the last fight, Cormier kind of got the better of him a little bit, and then all of a sudden he started finding a few holes in Cormier, and he won the fight. I mean, it was magical what he did. And hats off to Stipe. He's from the same state I am. I used to live up there, near there in Strongsville at some point in my lifetime. But I think this is Francis's time. And I think that the UFC, and I'm sure some people disagree, Stipe has only fought a couple times in the last 3 years. He fought once in 2000 or mid 2018, once mid 2019, and once in mid 2020. So this guy's the heavyweight champion of the world, and he's only had 3 fights. And I think that they're hoping that Francis wins, because I think that they think that he's more marketable. And I think that's why they've given him this rematch again so fast, even though he does deserve it.
And if he's the more marketable guy, he's the guy that they want to win the fight, right?
Yes, sir.
Which tells you if it goes to the judges, you might want to go with the guy they want to win.
Francis
and
Ngannou.
The judges, though, from what you're saying.
That's what I think so.
Great sports week. We got the Sweet 16 coming up, and we got the Minister of Money. I started to go to you earlier. I got so excited to go to you that I forgot about the fact that our producer, who would fire me if I didn't say go to Ngannou first. So let's go now to the Minister of Money. Thank you for joining us today. I understand you got a future on Michigan. Tell us what it is.
Yeah, I love Michigan. When I saw that you can still bet Michigan at plus 750 odds to win it all, I thought that still offered some value. I do believe the Wolverines are blessed this year. I just blessed them. Alabama plays at a much faster pace, okay? But Michigan, Michigan's a better 3-point and free throw shooting team, as we know. The Wolverines defense, I mean, listen, they're elite, okay? They're elite like me. And they're far superior to the Crimson Tides. And Michigan is, they're slightly bigger. I'll tell you what, I like Michigan to get to the Final Four. All right. Then it's up to the man upstairs. We will have discussions. I'm on Michigan's side. You want to go against me? You got a problem. And who knows what can happen in the Final Four? You never know. I mean, Gonzaga, I'm going to tell you what, Gonzaga is the team to beat. There's no doubt about it. The path is just cleared for them, just like Moses parted the Red Sea. The path is cleared for Gonzaga to win it all. I will tell you what, I'm going to give you a little bit of a sleeper. People may go against what I'm going to say. Don't bet against Jay Wright on national TV. He won 2 national championships. I bet he covers. And plus, Villanova is a Catholic college. And I'm giving Villanova blessing right now, Jay Wright. You've met before. I'm on your side. Do not bet against me with Villanova.
And a question. When I see the Philly Godfather show up in these really amazing glasses, it looks like he actually borrows them from you with what you're wearing tonight. Is there any correlation between that?
Well, I have to be truthful with you. I can do baptisms. I have been a minister for 8 years. Okay. I can do baptisms. I can do wedding, marriage counseling, which would be very short. Don't do it. I can perform your wedding, just like Owen Wilson did at Meet the Fockers with the flute.
Now, the truth is
also
the truth about not to interrupt you, Mr. Money, not to interrupt you, but the truth about the glasses is I borrow them because they're blessed every time I go place a future in the NFL, and it's won us a ton of money. So that now the secret's out. When I go bet these NFL futures, I'm borrowing his glasses. We go to the window, we bet it, and we've had a bunch of success.
John Carmine Falcone doesn't miss anything, just so you know.
Steve and I met, Philly Godfather and I met in confession. That's how we met.
So Minister, you're saying that God prefers Catholics over Baptists in this Villanova-Baylor matchup?
What I'm saying is greed is good.
Dave Mason, I'm not sure even what to ask you at this point, but since you are here from Bet Online, what do you got with the futures going on right now in the NCAA? Has there been any significant change since the start of the tournament?
Yeah, a little bit here and there. Actually, the minister will like this, but you can get 9-1 on Michigan here at betonline.ag. So come on over and bet that future at 9-1. Yeah, we're just happy that we got to start the tournament. We were exposed on 2 teams, the Zags and Michigan, and we were able to close his exposure. So they're both at the break-even point right now. So we're in the black on the other 14 teams that are about break-even on Gonzaga and Michigan. So we're just happy about that. When we had a nice 6-figure red figure on the Zags and Michigan, that wasn't too fun a couple weeks ago.
Billy Rooster, coming up in Sweet 16 this first round. I understand you've got a game coming up that you like. What is that game?
Well, first off, I'm heading down to Virginia to watch this Gonzaga game. I hear it's at home.
Come on down.
Yeah.
They're right.
We're going to go to the parade, Rooster.
Yeah.
When they win it all, we'll go to the parade.
Yeah. So I may pop by your house, JBL. We'll see. But yeah, I like a game this week. It's actually the last game to be played on Sunday night, Oregon at USC. Now, everybody knows they just played in February. It was a goofy game because it got postponed, and then they only gave them 4 days notice before they played it. Now, in my opinion, the Coach Altman is definitely an advantage for Oregon in a tournament-type situation where he can mix up his defenses and confuse this USC team. Now, both teams are very hot, coming off huge wins. I kind of thought the Oregon win was a little more impressive to me over Iowa than the USC win over Kansas, because I think Kansas was overrated going into the tournament. But Oregon only shot 40.4% in that game, and they generally shoot much higher. I mean, I think Oregon, now they got punched in the mouth early in that game. I watched it, and USC came out and shot 3 3-pointers. They were up 9-0. I think it was like a minute and a half. I couldn't believe it because I had bet Oregon that game too. But I just think this game's going to shake out totally different. I think Oregon's going to come out very well prepared, well coached, calm, ready for the big moment. And I think they're going to give USC a battle. So in this game where I think it's real close, I make the game a pick 'em. And these lines are really sharp, as Dave Mason knows. I mean, the market tightens up in tournament games, especially when you get to the Sweet 16. You can grab some good value early, but by this time, the market just puts everything into shape. So if I could take a team that I think is even and grab 2, 2.5, 3, I'm taking it every time.
Rooster, you don't think the height and of USC. Doesn't that scare you a little bit? I know Oregon ain't a real
Well,
good rebounding team. You know what I mean?
they're not good against the post, and their one good big man is out. He was out for the season. But like I said, coaching in this situation with a full week to prepare, he's going to look at their post players and try to neutralize them. They're definitely going to get points in the paint. There's no question about it. But if Oregon can just shoot their regular percentage, I think they can outscore these guys. They got an unbelievable offense, Oregon.
Yeah, and USC doesn't really cover the perimeter well, and Oregon's a great three-point shooting team. They might be the second or third best left in the tournament, so that could be huge. I agree with you.
Hey, you talked about the market. Let's go to the market. Dave Mason, what do you have on this game between USC?
Early cash is on USC. 63% of the early cash is on USC. 81%. No, 74% is on the over. We did open at about -1 USC. We got hit by some sharp action there. That's what moved it to up to 2.5. So, you know, that public action right now, or the overall action, that's kind of, you know, with these basketball action, it's 95% of the actions you have to come in. So, you know, I say 63% of the early money's on USC, but who knows what's going to be come Sunday.
And Philly Godbrother, you had something in this first round as well with Oregon State, correct?
Yeah, I do. I'll break it down. I just want to ask Rooster one more question. Rooster, is this the type of game you're going to wait late to bet it? Maybe if you get 3.5 on the game. I mean, don't you think it's a great opportunity to even middle this game if you can, you know, bet USC on the money line and maybe come back and take +3.5 on the game? That's basically a toss-up. You get a 3.5 point cushion. You think maybe there's an opportunity for a middle here?
There could be, but I think there's going to be a lot of money bet on both sides in all these games, and there's going to be pressure on both. If I would be shocked if this game went to 3.5. I think you might see some threes because I think the public money will be on the favorite. But and Dave can tell you better than me, but in all my years, you don't see a tremendous line movement on game day from the Sweet 16 on.
Yeah, you're right. They're sharpened up by then.
Yeah.
And Dave, we're about to go to Oregon State now. What did you have as far from Dave Mason from Bet Online with the Oregon State game?
Yeah, 64% of the cash is on Oregon State. 71% is on the over, which is currently 125.5. And we did take a little bit of sharp action on La Jolla. I keep saying that. Loyola -6.
Philly Godfather, you like this game?
Yeah, I nibbled on Oregon State a little bit. Loyola Chicago, we gave it out a couple of weeks ago as a dark horse, as a sleeper future. You guys remember the odds were 65-1, 70-1 before the tournament started. I said nibble a little bit. But I think 7 points might be a little bit too much. You got a Loyola Chicago team here. It's coming off a huge emotional win against Big Brother, against Illinois. And surprisingly, they out-rebounded the much bigger team. Both these teams during the year weren't great rebounding teams, but during the tournament, I mean, you got Oregon State that out-rebounded Oklahoma State, I think 52-32. They out-rebounded Tennessee, and both those teams are much bigger than Oregon State. Oregon State, one of the best foul-shooting teams left in the tournament. They can shoot the three. Surprisingly, they'll be shooting lights out from the three-point line. They're the bigger team. I think they're ranked third out of all the teams left in the tournament in the effective height ratio. So rebounding is going to be big. The turnovers scare me a little bit because Oregon State does turn the ball over a lot, and Loyola Chicago forces a lot of turnovers. But at 7 points, I think you got enough cushion with a good free throw shoot team to cover the spread here. I like Oregon State plus the points. I know there's some sharp opposition on the other side, but I think 7 points is just too much here. And if anything, you know, you bet it, and it's a small hedge against our, you know, the future that we had at 70-1 with Loyola Chicago that we gave out a couple weeks ago.
And Matt, you had something also on Oregon State, is that right?
I didn't have it on Oregon State, but I did have the Alabama over. We saw last week Alabama came in, they shot lights out. It seemed like they didn't miss one shot all game. And now they're coming in and they're going to be versing UCLA, who's, I think, ranked 35th, 30th, around there in opponent three-point percentage. I think Alabama comes in here, they shoot lights out. And then on the UCLA side, we have a team that doesn't turn over the ball, so they're going to maximize every possession. And you're not going to get those possessions where you're going to have, you know, time run out on you. And then at the end of the shot clock, you have a bad turnover, bad whatever the case is. So I think they maximize their possessions on UCLA's end. And then Alabama's going to come here. They're going to shoot lights out once again.
Yeah, UCLA doesn't cover the perimeter well. I think they're ranked 200th in the nation in opposing three-point shooting percentage. And they don't really force teams, with turnovers. I think they're ranked like almost dead last in opponent turnover percentage. So there's going to be a lot of scoring in this game. If you go over 144.5, 145, I mean, you might see this game end up in the 150s.
Dave Mason from BetOnline, what do you have on Alabama and UCLA?
Alabama's getting bet early. 69% of the cash is on Bama. 96% is on the over. Nothing too sharp here at BetOnline.
And Harry Mays, I see you shaking your head and agreeing at times. Just hop in here, my friend.
I got nothing on the NCAA tournament. I'm just following what PGF says, and I'm going to fade the Rooster on the Villanova game.
Holy cow. Holy cow. Shots fired. Shots fired.
Well, the biggest problem with Villanova is they don't rebound the ball. I mean, they're ranked like 250th in the country. They depend on the three-point line so much. Baylor's physically more talented. I mean, it's tough beating a team that ranks third in opponent tournament. Jay Wright's a great coach, and maybe they can hang in there early, but come late, I think there's just too much athleticism on this Baylor team.
But Harry, you do have coming up in a minute. You do have Masters futures, NFL futures, as we got some baseball futures coming up as well. I'm sorry, somebody was saying something. Did I miss something here?
Let him go. Let him rip.
I was just saying that as the minute Harry told me he liked Texas, I knew something's going to go terribly wrong. They got knocked out in the first round. They're still wondering what happened. I sent him a little note that Harry Mays happened.
Texas.
Harry, as an Abilene Christian alumni.
He was so Chad, he was so convincing. I see one of Rooster's brackets. Rooster had Texas winning it all in one of his brackets.
I did take Oral Roberts over Ohio State, though.
Did you really?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Oral.
I bet you are.
Leave it there. Leave it there. You don't want to hear the rest.
No, you don't.
So was the head of your microphone.
Carmine
Right.
Falcone, save us here. You have another Sweet 16 something for us here, don't you?
I do. Halle Berry just sent me a text and she said that you look amazing tonight and extremely dapper. So just a little shout out. Thank you for the recap. Appreciate it.
You sure that wasn't Alex Berry?
Well, to stick with the theme of the show, I love the Minister of Money, the glasses and the outfit. He is amazing. So
we're all blessed today. We're all blessed.
Sir, welcome, and I'll take blessings anytime. I might need your blessing, Minister, in this game because you're having a little opposition here in the show, maybe for a little bit of fun. I'm going to give my side of it. I'm against some serious sharp action, and we'll see what happens, and may the best man win on Sunday night, late night. USC, Oregon. USC was seeded 6th. Oregon was seeded 7th. The sharp bookmakers opened it up USC -1 here. So they lean with USC winning the game. The big two things that stand out for me in this game, and I completely agree with Rooster, that Dana Altman might have the edge in this game, and that is a huge concern. I agree with them 100%. But you have to look at two factors, and in my opinion, these two factors will not change for this game. The defensive efficiency of USC, they are 5th in the country. Defense travels, and it doesn't change, in my humble opinion. The second thing that doesn't change is the height of USC. Their effective height ratio is over 2 inches taller. And if you watch that first game, I think that's why Oregon simply shot a little bit less than they normally do, was because of the height advantage. I don't think that it was a scheme thing. I think it was a size thing. And they're going to have the same thing happen in this game. So 2 inches, of average height efficiency is a really big deal in this game. The other thing that I see that's a huge discrepancy is the offensive rebounding due to the height. The offensive rebounding, USC is 12th in the country. And in these style games, with these dogfight games, and you're getting offensive rebounds and short putbacks, I like that side. I like USC. When it was 1.5, I took it. I took it 1.5 and on the money line in this game. A little opposition to the great Rooster, who I completely respect. And he's completely right on Dana Altman. And we'll see what happens on Sunday night.
Carmine, with two teams that rank in the basement of college basketball in foul shooting, Oregon and USC. If this line gets any higher, it opened to 138 the total. It's up to 139. I'm hoping it hits 140. Will you be looking to go under in this matchup?
It would be an under game for me just because of the defensive matchup with USC here. If you look at the percentages in this game earlier that they shot, Oregon still, on 2-pointers, they shot 40% in the game, and on 3-pointers, they were 41%. So this wasn't a game where they shot like 28 or 27%. It wasn't one of those matchups, unfortunately, like Abilene Christian the other day that shot like 13%, I think, from the field. Sorry, John, for the state of Texas. But
I suffered through every one of those 87% that missed, believe me.
So, in the game previously, again, it was 40% from 2 and 41% from 3. Now, that is a little bit down from their traditional good shooting, a good shooting team that they are, but they're still in the 40% category. So that's just my small, humble opinion on the matter. Oregon with the coaching matchup, USC with the height, defensive rebounding, offensive rebounding matchup. And I know one thing, excuse me. This is going to be a great game on Sunday night.
Dave Mason for Bet Online. I know we're going to lose you here in just a little bit, but before you go, what do you got as far as just money overall going into March Madness? Not the overall handle on this, but what teams is everybody on Gonzaga at Bet Online?
For the futures, I mean, the money's spread out. Like I said, before the tournament started, we had a big red figure on the Zags in Michigan, but the guys running the futures market have that liability down to nothing. So, which means basically that more money's coming in on the other teams if we're not a big red figure anymore. When you see those futures and you get all that public money coming in for the tournament, they're betting the teams with the higher odds for the bigger payout. So, yeah, so not as much money's coming in on the Zags for the futures market. Overall, the action's awesome. We had our best opening weekend ever. It was great, and we won some money too. Day 4 wasn't so good, but the other 3 days were great, especially day 1.
How does that compare to, say, I think you said this before, but how does that compare to the Super Bowl? I mean, obviously, March Madness in totality.
Yeah, I mean, and in totality, March Madness blows it away. I mean, what is it, 64, 65 games over 3 weeks, whatever. But, for one day, one game, Super Bowl is bigger without a doubt. It's and for actives, I mean, I think there's twice as many actives Super Bowl than there were day 1 of the tournament. So that kind of gives you a baseline there. I mean, for Super Bowl though, you just get so much people that just come in that one game and then they're gone too. So March Madness is better because you had those guys over 3 weeks. You can keep them over 3 weeks. So, as far as betting events go, March Madness is bigger for one single day. Super Bowl blows everything away except the 2020 election.
Unbelievable. That many people are betting on elections. It's
we did as much on an election as we did the last 2 Super Bowls combined. That was just insanity. We need we need an election every year. That's what I say.
No,
I don't know, man.
we don't.
Can take that. Anyways, guys, thanks for having me. I got to sign off. Take care.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Dave.
guys.
Dave
Bye-bye.
Mason for Bet Online. Well, Ministry of Money, we got baseball coming up, and you got some big futures for us. From what I understand, I have not been to confession lately, and it'd probably take me about 3 or 4 months in the booth. They better serve booze. You got Texas Rangers in the World Series here?
Well, interestingly enough, that they're the only team that are going to allow full capacity right away. So that's going to be an exciting place to play.
That's true. That's true.
Now, I want to give you some odds right now. Dodgers plus 350, which is interesting about this. You got David Price as the number 4 pitcher. Cy Young Award pitcher is the number 4 pitcher. You're probably going to make a lot of money in games he pitches, okay? You got Tommy Lasorda in heaven right now, Frank Sinatra. I'm going to lead into the Yankees. They're plus 550. So I see Tommy Lasorda and Frank Sinatra, 2 Italian Catholics, battling out up in heaven. I see that being the World Series. Padres plus 800. I think there's too many ifs with the Padres. Snell's a great acquisition, but like I said, if Machado, if Hosmer, if Darvish stay healthy, and obviously health dictates everything. White Sox plus 850, Braves 10-1. That's my sleeper to go against the Yankees in the World Series. My gut says take the Dodgers if they're healthy. You also got Kershaw going into last year's site. He's going to be a free agent. Okay, he's going to have a big year. We got the Mets 10-1, Twins 20-1, Astros 22-1. Verlander killed them. Cardinals 25-1, Tampa Bay 25-1. Don't ever bet against Tampa Bay. Probably one of the best organizations in baseball. They could sneak into that playoffs. You never know what can happen. And they traded Snell, but they probably just stole 4 top prospects from the Padres, and they'll be in it.
And what about the Yankees? They always talk about the murderer's row. I mean, those guys got some bats that are unbelievable. What about the Yankees?
Well, listen, so one of the most underrated players in baseball is DJ LeMahieu. He's the first player in baseball history to win a batting title in not only the American League, not the National League, but the American League. He's also a Gold Glover, versatile. If you have a healthy Stanton, you got a healthy Judge. I mean, it makes the players around them better. They're all going to see fastball. Sanchez, everybody. So, and if they're healthy, hey, who wants to face those three guys? I don't.
Minister, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Talk about maybe the best offseason signing, in my small, humble opinion, of Trevor Bauer in the 3-year, $102 million deal to the Dodgers that just happened recently.
Well, I'm going to tell you something about that deal. Not only was that a brilliant deal, not only did they overpay, okay? Is he a great pitcher? He's going to have to live up to the hype. But the most unbelievable part of that deal is that his agent is a woman, and I believe it's his first client, and she doesn't even like baseball. And the only reason she liked it, they went to college and they became friends.
That's right. Yep.
She's the new super agent.
What do you think about the performance that he put on in the playoffs against the Atlanta Braves, of that dominant pitching of 9 innings, I think of 0-score baseball against that Braves lineup last year in the first round there?
It's a tremendous performance, but last year's last year. Listen, he has to live up to not what he did last year, previous years. Is he a very good pitcher? Yeah, he's a great pitcher. We're going to see. We're going to see if he's elite. You know who he is right now. He's on the level of Cole. He's got the biggest 3-year contract in the history of professional baseball. He has to live up to it.
Yeah, I think that when you get a team like the Dodgers that can hit, it relaxes great pitchers, and they can free flow a little bit better mentally. And I think you're gonna see that this year he's gonna reach that elite status, in my opinion. So I'm with you on the future that you have there.
There's a lot of pressure on him as well too. Sometimes some of these guys fold. I mean, he's got that big contract. He's in the big city, LA. I mean, under the big lights. He's everyone's gonna be talking about him. So it depends, what kind of character he has on the inside. But I think he's gonna be a big success out there.
The only thing that matters is what you do next.
That's true.
Well, you know what? You go back to the Dodgers. You got Kershaw and David Price there. I mean, that's going to ease up a little bit of pressure.
100%.
Nobody wants. You know what? That's like the Philadelphia Phillies pitching staff. Nobody wants to face these guys.
No.
Matt, we were on the rugby wrap-up with me and the Philly Godfather, and the first week, Philly Godfather wasn't on it. You really just kind of guessing about games, because you got a new season. They had a pandemic season last year, not a lot of data, and I went 5-1. And Philly Godfather said that. He goes, it really doesn't matter what's happened. I said, yes, it does. I'm going to talk for the next year, but I went 5-1 the first week. I don't care about what happens next. I'm dragging.
I don't practice what I preach because I'm still talking about the Super Bowl, Bruce.
Wait a minute. Did you win a Super Bowl bet?
Something like that.
I'm still trying to get Rooster back for that tweet he sent me about Gonzaga.
You got you on that.
Well, Mr. Harry Mays, we missed you last week. We're so glad you're back. You got something for us in the Masters, and just to give people a little heads up here, you got a match play tournament going on right now, and you're going to be putting out on social media as the tournament gets toward the weekend. So the host of Swing It and Ding It, be sure and check out Harry Mays on social media for any updates on match play. But you got a little futures for us on the Masters, right? What is that?
Yeah, JBL, that's at Harry Mays TU on Twitter. And I got 3 plays that I just fired on today as far as the Masters goes. And they still represent, I think, really good value. I'm going to just go on in order here. Lee Westwood, who has had a great season. He's made his season already with 2 second-place finishes at Bay Hill and in the Players, both, in big battles with Bryson DeChambeau, who ended up winning Bay Hill, and then Justin Thomas, who ended up winning at the Players. But so he's mentally exhausted right now. Missed the cut at the Honda, which I figured he would. He actually got smoked in his first match in the match play. I think he's going to end up leaving after the 3rd day. After that's all they're obligated to do. He'll get eliminated. He's going to have a week and a half to rest up mentally and physically, and he'll go to Augusta and prepare, where he has had some really good success without winning. He was tied for second back in 2010, tied for third in 2012, seventh in 2014, and tied for second in 2016. He's made 18 starts there and made the cut 15 times. Got a lot of experience on those greens, and plus 2,500 to win it right now, I think still represents some really good value for Lee Westwood. The other guy is Cameron Smith. I've picked him before in certain tournaments. This is a tough kid from Australia. Looks like the Australian Joe Dirt. He's got that blonde mustache and his scraggly long hair. I love this kid because he loves really hard tournaments. He loves great competition, and he's at plus 4,000 right now for the Masters. He finished second there in November when they played it in the fall to Dustin Johnson, and he also finished fifth in its normal slot in early April back in 2018. He's in pretty good form right now, placed well at Concession. He was fourth at LA about a month or so ago now, and tied for 17th at the Players. And won his first match actually in the match play too. Good form, plus 4,000, experience, and some good finishes at the Masters. I'll take it. And finally, the guy that actually has, I think, I'm surprised his odds are at plus 2,500, because Patrick Cantlay, I think his odds are gonna go down because the recent developments with some of the other golfers. I mean, Brooks Koepka had surgery on his right knee just recently. I don't know that he's going to even be able to go at the Masters. You got Rory McIlroy, who's always a big favorite. Can't find it right now with his golf swing. Just got a new coach in Pete Cowan. He got destroyed by Ian Poulter in the first match of the match play. So and of course, Tiger Woods is not going to be there. So there's three plays right there that I know people would heavily bet had all three of these guys been there. Patrick Cantlay, to me, sounds like a perfect guy to win this at plus 2,500. He finished T17 there last year in November and T9 in 2019. He makes birdies. Today, he led the field in the match play with birdies, ended up beating Brian Harmon 1-up. Both of those two guys, had that been a regular stroke play event, would be at the top of the leaderboard. This guy is, he's a birdie machine. Patrick Cantlay plus 2,500.
Well, as far as Dustin Johnson, I was just not there to go with the favorite. You know, he's a defending champion. He's the best player in the world, at least what everybody says. I just don't know about the value there. It's also tough to repeat in a tournament. Plus, this is going to be, going from November to April. The golf course will play differently. Doesn't mean Dustin Johnson still isn't the best and very capable of winning that tournament by 3 or 4 shots. But I'm just going to stay away because I just don't think the value right there is there for DJ. How do you handicap the weekend before? I'm sorry, Guthrie, I'll save you a question for a second. And how do you handicap the week before the Valero Open? I mean, do you handicap as far as guys? Some guys skip it, some guys play it.
Yeah.
How does that affect your handicapping?
Well, not so much that event, because the guys who don't want to be there skip the event. There's other guys that, like in this event, that's why this match play where it's positioned and all, it's like these guys go there, they get certain prize money just to show up and get eliminated and satisfy their sponsors. But their eyes are already on Augusta National. Like, they go ahead and lose their first match and they're basically done. It's tough to advance if you lose your first match. And they go home on Friday, and it's a lot of the big name players lost today. Dustin Johnson did advance, but a lot of them did lose. So this is why I stay away from this tournament early, and I'll get in on the weekend.
Gotham City, I apologize. I cut you off.
Oh, no problem.
Questions you have?
Carmine Falcone has a heart, believe it or not.
Sorry, it's Carmine Falcone. That's why you didn't understand who I was talking about.
Only today on the show, John. Only today on the show.
He showed up as a joker.
The initials on my glass say BMF. You know what BMF stands for, don't you?
Bad mother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bad microphone.
Yeah.
Actually, it's big microphone.
Yeah, because phone starts with an F.
Right.
Bunch of Texas and Philly.
Harry, I have something good for you in golf. I just wanted to get your opinion on something. There's a guy who's this 41-year-old guy this year who seems to rededicated himself to the game. He's had 2 top 10s. He has had some recent really good finishes. He had a top 10 at the Players. He plays very well at Augusta National. He works the ball both ways. He's putting better. And his name is Sergio Garcia. What do you think about Sergio for the upcoming Masters? I have this real funny feeling that the old crafty veteran, that Tiger win a couple years ago, the Cabrera win a couple years ago,
Yeah.
Some of these older, craftier guys, and he still hits it far enough to play here. And it looks like he's rededicated himself. He got married a year or two ago, fell on hard times, and you're seeing a couple of these young guys get married, aka Ricky Fowler, who have kind of lost their way.
Right.
Ricky will definitely refine his way back. He's a great elite player. I think Sergio is in position with some really bad odds to play very well at Augusta National.
I'm with you there. That's good. That's good thought process out of you. The old dogs play well. The guys with great experience. That's why I like Westwood too. But yeah, you're getting huge value with Sergio. What I don't forget, he's like plus 5,000 somewhere up there.
He's
high up on the odds. But yeah, and I think that the point that you raised at the end, rededicating himself. I've noticed that too with him, because after he won that Masters, I think he kind of sort of exhaled for a little while, and now his life is in a really good place, and I think he realized that he still has the game to compete with these guys. And when these guys show up at a place that they know and love and just are they revere that golf course, and it brings the best out of some of these older guys. That's a sharp play.
Harry, I understand you also have an NFL play coming up for us. Right?
I do. I've been taking a look at. I don't want to get too crazy with some of these free agent acquisitions, but I really liked what a team in the NFC East did, and that's the New York Giants. The New York Giants got Kyle Rudolph. They got Kenny Golladay. They made a big signing on defense. They had to overpay for a cornerback and Adoree Jackson, but the guy's a really good player. They're going to get Saquon Barkley back, who is really kind of the heart and soul of their team. They already have a really good defense. And the NFC East, although it will be better this year, you got Dallas with a quarterback coming off a really bad injury. I don't know how long it's going to take him to really, fully get under himself, if you know what I mean. And, the Eagles are kind of a mess right now, and the Redskins have a great defense, and they made some nice acquisitions too. But I'm going to take the New York Giants plus 450 to win the NFC East, and they're plus 260 to make the playoffs.
Wow. NFC East special.
That's right.
It's going to be something very unpopular with all the Texans and Philadelphians.
Oh, yeah. I'm used to being unpopular. Don't worry about it.
I got a question for Rooster before we wrap up. Rooster, I mean, everyone talks about Oral Roberts. They're undersized. They don't rebound. They don't cover the three-point line. But they're outperforming the market. They're winning games outright as double-digit underdogs. They're one of the best three-point shooting teams left. Probably the best free throw shooting team. Can they do it again this week as double-digit underdogs to Arkansas? I mean, is this team for you? Can grab 100 to 1 on this team. What do you think about Oral Roberts?
Well, first of all, before I get into that, let me just tell Harry that I will be purchasing a foursome in his Sling It and Ding It Open. I like that course. I played there before, so I will be there. You can mark my name down.
Well, if your team wins, you'll be going to Punta Cana to the Teeth of the Dog Resort. That's the grand prize.
And I always bring a ringer with me. Just
there you go.
The Teeth of the Dog sounds like it needs the minister of money to throw a little blessing on it, if you know what I'm saying.
But yeah, I mean, look, Sweet 16 usually is around the time where the cream starts to really rise. And I actually had a database, and I haven't run these numbers probably in 6 years. I was thinking about this morning. We created this database for college basketball in the late 90s. Well, it was actually, I think it was 2001 when we got it finished. And we were able to look at trends. And one that really stuck out at me and lasted all through the 2000s was the Sweet 16 double-digit favorites that closed over 10 hit at like an 86% clip to win the game. Now, obviously, you would think that would be the case since they're 10-point favorites, but it was lower in the lower rounds. So generally, this is where the cream starts to rise. I would say I don't think Oral Roberts has a prayer against Arkansas for a lot of reasons, but that database conclusion, which I'm going to see if I can reach back and run those numbers again, just out of curiosity. But I have a feeling that the cream's really going to rise this week, and that's why I'm leaning on the games that are a low line, that are tight matches, because I'm afraid. I do like Villanova a little bit, but I'm afraid of Baylor there. I'm afraid of all the big favorites. So I don't think Oral Roberts can win this game.
And Philly Godfather, what did you think about the Giants winning the NFC East?
I mean, they made some great acquisitions. It all depends on the quarterback. You know, Jones, I mean, Barkley's a beast. How good is that offensive line? Can they protect him from getting hit behind the line of scrimmage before he gets that motor started? I'm not sure if they secured their offensive line enough. Jones is a question mark to me, but they made some great acquisitions. I'm a big fan of defense, so you know who I like. I like the Washington football team. If you just exclude the quarterbacks off of every team in the NFL, the nucleus of this Washington football team is probably the second or third best in the league. I don't know how, what Fitz is going to do, but we've seen him play lights out on, inferior teams. Now he's going to a Washington team who's going to have maybe definitely top 5 defense in the NFL this year, but maybe number 1 or number 2, that defensive line. If you look over the last 10 years, it's always been correlated. Teams with great pass rushes usually always make the playoffs. And usually the ones with, some of the better passer rushes end up in the Super Bowl. To me, it's all about defense. Fitz, I'm a little disappointed they didn't go get, Russell Wilson or that other quarterback from Texas who has some issues. But I think Fitz can play, and they secured their offensive line a little bit. I like Washington, even though the Giants are definitely going to be a formidable opponent. Dallas, of course, depending on Dak. I'm really, the Eagles, to me, I'm going to be looking to fade that team almost every week, bet they're under in their season win totals. I can't see the Eagles doing anything. With that offensive line, they gave up 65 sacks last year. I know Jalen Hurts kind of, masks the inefficiencies with his running abilities, but still, they're going to have more tape on Jalen Hurts this year, so that could be an issue. The Eagles, to me, is a big fade. It's the Giants and the Washington football team, in my opinion.
Well, the one thing about Fitz is every game is a revenge game because he's played for every team.
That's true. And he's a journeyman, and it'd be a great story, great storyline. He really just has to be a game manager. Just don't turn the ball over, and that defense will win you 7, 8 games, maybe 9 games. We all know what the numbers are in the turnover battle. You don't turn the ball over, you win and cover 80% of the times. So Fitz just plays smart. They secured that offensive line. That defensive pass rush is going to end up number 1 in the NFL this year.
Forget it. I got total faith in January Joe, baby. Joe Flacco comes in, takes over week 3, and rolls right to the Super Bowl. It's happening, boys.
There's 4 empty bottles of wine right behind Bruce.
Did he not watch Flacco in Denver? He must have missed that whole expertise in Denver, right? Yeah.
Hey, and Carmine, before we go, Ngannou knocks him out, right?
I got him in round 2. You'll have a little stuff on Twitter. I love it. I like USC. I have a huge USC future. I have this really funny feeling that USC wins this game, and then on Monday night, they give Gonzaga the game of the year. That's my opinion.
Ooh, I like it. I love this big fight coming up in UFC. Well, there you have it. You have the UFC. You have all kinds of futures on golf, on baseball, the NFL, and the Sweet 16, pretty much covered by the very best in the business. This is Follow the Action for Mr. Harry Mays, the Minister of Money, Matt Maltepes, the Philly Godfather, Carmine Falcone, first time on the show, and the legend, the guy we love, the Philly Rooster with his glass of wine. I'm John Layfield. Thanks for joining us. Good luck this week.